Taiwan and US begin formal negotiations on trade initiative. First drought, now downpours slam France and England. Apple targets September 7th for iPhone 14 launch. TikTok to teach influencers about US midterm election rules. Monkeypox vaccine maker seeks partners to meet demand. India budget grocery chain eyes five-fold growth in heated market. COVID's harmful effects on brain reverberate years later. BMW EVs will be charged by EVE's cylindrical batteries.
Hello, I'm Johnny. Thank you for joining us on FUNDAY News. It's Friday, August 19th, and here are your top stories. The U.S. Trade Representative Office said in a statement Wednesday, August 18th, that the U.S. and Taiwan have started formal negotiations on a bilateral trade initiative, and the first round of trade talks is set to take place early this fall. The office said that the negotiations will cover various matters, including trade facilitation, regulatory practices, anti-corruption standards, and deepening agriculture trade.
The office said in the statement, the trade negotiations will deepen our trade and investment relationship, advance mutual trade priorities based on shared values, and promote innovation and inclusive economic growth for our workers and businesses. The U.S. Trade Representative's Office made no mention of tension with Beijing, but said the formal negotiations were meant to enhance trade and regulatory cooperation, which would entail closer official interaction.
After a summer of drought, heat waves, and forest fires, violent storms are whipping France and neighboring countries. On Tuesday, August 17th, winds over 100 kilometers per hour were recorded at the top of Eiffel Tower as hell hammered Paris and other regions during a sudden storm. Rainwater gushed down metro station stairwells and onto platforms, and cars sloshed along embankments where Seine River overflowed. In southern France, thunderstorms at night and on Wednesday flooded the old port of Marseille and the city's main courthouse.
As scattered storms swept across Belgium on Wednesday, one part of the historic town of Ghent flooded following weeks of unrelenting drought. London and other parts of southern England were lashed with torrential rain and thunderstorms after one of the driest summers on record, which gave the country its first ever 40 degrees Celsius temperature last month. There was widespread flash flooding as the downpours fell on parched ground.
Bloomberg reported that Apple is aiming to hold a launch event on September 7th to unveil the iPhone 14 line. The company intends to stream the event online rather than holding an in-person gathering, continuing an approach it adopted at the start of the pandemic. The standard iPhone 14 will look similar to the iPhone 13, though the company will eliminate the 5.4-inch mini version and add a model with a 6.7-inch screen. This marks the first time Apple will launch a non-Pro iPhone with a display of that size.
According to media reports, the iPhone 14 Pro models will replace the front-facing camera cutout with a pill-shaped hole for Face ID sensors and a hole-punch-sized area for the camera. It is also adding a faster chip to the iPhone 14 Pro while retaining the A15 chip from the iPhone 13 in the regular iPhone 14 models. The Pro models will gain a 48-megapixel wide-angle camera alongside 12-megapixel ultra-wide and telephoto sensors. Apple is also planning improvements to video recording and battery life.
Following the 2020 U.S. election, TikTok admitted it needed to do more to ensure influencers follow its rules. The video platform has announced new steps to ensure influencers understand that paid political ads are prohibited. Also, TikTok is taking extra measures to limit misinformation and violations of its policies ahead of its U.S. midterm elections. TikTok said that over the coming weeks, it would publish educational content and host briefings with influencers and advertising agencies.
TikTok said it has a long-standing policy to not allow paid political advertising. It warned that if it discovered that political content was paid for and not properly disclosed, it would be promptly removed from the platform. TikTok said election misinformation, harassment, including that directed towards election workers, hateful behavior, and violent extremism are all banned. TikTok's actions also go beyond paid content. All posts, whether paid for or not, must also not violate its policies.
The only company with an approved vaccine for monkeypox, Bavarian Nordic, said it's talking to multiple production partners as cases rise across the world. The Danish company is exploring the possibility of outsourcing some of its production, including a technology transfer to a U.S. contract manufacturer, to meet accelerating demand. Most of the shipments from Bavarian's vaccine, known as Genials, have gone to the U.S., with several countries still awaiting orders expected to arrive this year in 2023.
The media reported that Bavarian Chief Executive Officer Paul Chaplin told Danish newspaper Borsen on Wednesday that a possible tech transfer for Janos to a U.S. producer could take about 3 months. The WHO said Janos is most protective 2 weeks after a second dose, but noted that questions about the shot's efficacy remain due to limited human data available prior to the current outbreak. Bavaria has raised its financial outlook several times this year as orders have poured in for Janos.
According to India's export promotion agency, the country's retail market is going to be growing between 20% to 25% annually. Most major players are planning to expand this year. Indian billionaire Radhakishan Damani's discount supermarket chain D-Mart plans to boost its store count fivefold. Its parent company, Avenue Supermarts, which currently runs the fourth largest number of convenience stores in India, could scale up the chain, known for its knockdown prices on everything from lentils to laundry powder, from 284 to 1,500 supermarkets.
According to a report this month by Mumbai-based brokerage Matali Oswal, Avenue Supermarkets is likely to add 135 D-Mart outlets by March 2024. The company's net income for the June quarter surged more than 6 times to $80.6 million compared with the same time last year, as the local economy recovered from pandemic-related curbs. Revenue also nearly doubled. D-Mart has been experimenting with a couple of smaller shop formats in Mumbai and Hyderabad, where real estate is expensive.
A study published on Wednesday, August 18th in the journal Lancet Psychiatry shows while anxiety and depression occur more frequently after COVID than other respiratory infections, the risk typically subsides within 2 months. Yet, researchers at the University of Oxford found, in contrast, cognitive deficits known colloquially as brain fog, epilepsy, seizures, and other longer-term mental and brain health disorders remain elevated up to 24 months later.
The researchers said the fact that these risks remain elevated for so long suggests there are underlying mechanisms driving them to persist well past the acute infection. Potential causes include damage to the cells that line blood vessels, leading to blood clots and leakage of the blood-brain barrier. The rates of these problems were similar after the emergence of the Omicron and Delta variants, suggesting that coronavirus infections may continue to spur neuropsychiatric illness, even when they cause otherwise less severe disease.
German automaker BMW has signed contracts with China's EVE Energy to be BMW's primary supplier of battery cells in Europe for its new series of electric vehicles due to hit the market starting in 2025. The Chinese company announced in March that it would build a cylindrical battery production facility in Debrecen, Hungary, as its first plant in Europe. Meanwhile, BMW is also constructing a plant in the same city where it plans to produce EVs developed on its new Classic platform.
According to Reuters reports, China's CATL, the world's largest battery maker, is also due to start supplying cylindrical batteries to BMW from 2025. CATL announced last week it would build Europe's biggest battery plant, also in Debrecen, with an annual capacity of 100 gigawatt hours to supply European automakers. Mercedes-Benz will be its largest client. By comparison, CATL makes 47.6% of the total batteries installed in EVs in China, while EVE ranks 8th with 2.3% of market share in China.
And that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for joining us on FUNDAY News. Let's make every day a fun day. I'm Johnny Wu, your host. I will see you next time.